issue, allowing transgender students to choose whichever bathroom they feel most comfortable in, is a civil rights issue. And he repeatedly refused to answer that question, just saying it's a states' rights issue. He was also asked what the president's personal belief is on this. Remember, the president said Caitlyn Jenner, for instance, would be free to use whichever bathroom she wanted in Trump Tower. Spicer just said the president has been clear on that, but he did not elaborate on what that means.
And Sarah, earlier today, there appeared to be some confusion when President Trump referred to his push, his immigration crackdown, as a military operation. Hours later, his director of Homeland Security, General Kelly, said that's absolutely not true. It's not a military operation. This seems to now be standard operating procedure for the Trump White House. The president says something, and then he's immediately contradicted by his own senior cabinet officials.
Right. Very different tone, very different vocabulary coming from the president and coming from Secretary Kelly today. I want you to listen to what both of them had to say about this issue.
We're getting really bad dudes out of this country, and at a rate that nobody's ever seen before, and they're the bad ones, and it's a military operation.
No, repeat, no use of military force in immigration operations. I repeat, there will be no use of military forces in immigration. At least half of you try to get that right, because it continually comes up in the reporting.
You can see, Jake, why people might be mistaking this, since the president is calling it a military operation. But from a purely factual standpoint, it's not a military operation. ICE is a law enforcement agency. It is not a military agency. That is who is enforcing these rules at the border. Today, Sean Spicer was asked about that in the briefing, and he said the president was just using military adjective to describe that they were going to implement their immigration guidance with precision. Back to you.
Maybe General Kelly should voice his frustration to someone other than the media on that issue. Sarah.
Rights. The White House talking about sending that back to the states. Take a listen to how Sean Spicer put it.
The issue of transgender bathrooms wasn't one we heard a lot about from the president during the campaign. He said at one point Caitlyn Jenner could use whichever bathroom she wanted to at Trump Tower. So why is this now a priority for the administration 40 days into office?
It's not a priority. I think there's a case. No, hold on. But let me answer the question. It's not a priority. There is a case pending in the Supreme Court in which we have to decide whether or not to continue to issue guidance to the court. It's dictated by that. The Obama administration had issued joint guidance from the Department of Education and the Department of Justice. We now have to decide whether or not this administration wants to continue that track that they were on.
So, Steve, the Human Rights Campaign has already come out and panned this, saying what could possibly motivate a blind and cruel attack on young children like this. Is it going to be a rallying point for Democrats?
Well, I mean, I think the general attitude of this administration toward those people who are different than the white males who occupy it is something that's a concern for a lot of Democrats and for a lot of groups, not just the Human Rights Campaign Fund. I mean, the administration is choosing this to make a priority. They're going to issue these guidelines. They've already said there's going to be additional guidance later today. And this is not a fight that, frankly, they needed to pick right now. And it's interesting, inside the administration, apparently there was great disagreement with Jeff Sessions saying we're going to issue this guidance, we're going to not protect these transgender students. And Betty DeVos, to her credit, saying, you know what, they deserve protection and we should protect them. And apparently Donald Trump had to ask Betty DeVos to stand down or resign, and she chose to stand down and keep her job rather than stand up for what she believed in. I think it's just another tale of this administration.
Charlie, comment on that.
Well, it's fascinating that leaked out, by the way. But in this particular case, look, the Obama rule was an overreach by the federal government. This returns the decision to state governments and to local governments.
Why is this an overreach? I mean, this essentially is a civil rights issue.
Well, part of the problem is you want to go back to the election. One of the things that I saw driving a lot of the Trump voters in Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin was they're concerned about the economy, they're concerned about their jobs, and they hear Democrats talking about transgender bathrooms. However you feel about the issue, that was really symbolic of the disconnect between the Democrats and the administration and what a lot of the voters in the country. But in this particular case, Donald Trump really, this is something for the Christian right, the evangelicals who went to the mat for him, and he had to deliver on this particular issue.
This is an equal rights issue. It's a civil rights issue. There are a lot of folks who would like to be able to choose the bathroom that they feel comfortable in. So Ari Melber, Charlie Sykes, and Steve McMahon, thank you so much. Hallie
Thanks,
Jackson
Katie.
also at the White
Thank
House.
you.